After running multiple trials, we are finally done with our iPhone 12 Pro Max battery test, where we're comparing it side by side next to its biggest competition right now in the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Taking a look at the spec sheets, the big difference between these two phones comes down to the size of their batteries, with the iPhone's battery being significantly smaller, even smaller than last year's iPhone 11 Pro Max, which Apple could be making up for with the efficiency of their new 5nm A14 Bionic. And at least when it comes to battery, the iPhone also has the advantage of having a slightly smaller screen and a slower 60Hz refresh rate compared to the Note's smoother but more power-hungry 120Hz. Now, whether or not those advantages will be enough for the iPhone to win this test and maybe even become the new champ, well, let's find out. Alright, we'll kick things off in the phone app, where after going on a 1-hour phone call, the iPhone drops down by only 2% to 98, while the Note falls down to 95. Which is something you wouldn't really expect. Usually it's the phone with the bigger battery that does better in that phone app, since the screens are off for the majority of the time. But it could just be that the iPhone is overrepresenting on its battery percentage early on, which is something that we've seen iPhones do before. But 1 hour of texting back and forth later in the messaging test, the iPhone is able to hold onto its lead. Here in the email test, we're opening up the same set of emails and then scrolling through them a couple of times, where after 1 hour of doing so, the iPhone does better. Now, that result was likely due to the Note's higher refresh rate screen, where the 120Hz refresh rate was active while scrolling through the emails. And while we're not scrolling anywhere near as often here in the browser test, we're just doing it once every 30 seconds, we are utilizing the phone's processors a bit as we load up the same set of websites, where after 1 hour, the iPhone's 5nm A14 Bionic chip seems to have helped it, with it outperforming the Note, pulling another 3 points ahead. And the iPhone may pull even further ahead here in Instagram, since we are scrolling through the home feed just as you would in real life. But after 1 hour, the difference wasn't actually all that big, just a 1-point advantage for the iPhone, which is a bit of good news for the Note as we move on to the standby test, where the Note may be able to make a bit of a comeback since it has a larger battery. And 16 hours later, that's exactly what we see. The Note drops by just 8%, while the iPhone's battery drops by 10 percentage points. Now, the standby test is more inconsistent than any of the other tests in this battery comparison. So we ran multiple trials of this multi-day battery test, and the result that you see here was the closest to the average. Here on YouTube, we're watching the same set of videos with the speakers on and calibrated to the same decibel counts, where the iPhone does significantly better, dropping by only 9% compared to the 14-point drop on the Note. I was really expecting the larger battery in the Note to shine in that YouTube test, but it just seems like Apple is working some sort of magic in terms of optimization, and that optimization may be even stronger here in the gaming test. But 1 hour later, that actually doesn't happen. The two phones perform roughly the same. We'll see what happens here in the maps test, where we're simulating navigation with the GPS and the compass active, and both phones constantly checking for traffic information, where 1 hour later, once again, the two phones perform roughly the same. So it's good to see that the Note isn't falling any further behind, but the difference is still a significant one, with the iPhone 12 points ahead as we work on Spotify, where 55 minutes into the test, the 16% of battery that the Note started with drains completely, while the iPhone still has an estimated 19% of battery left to go. Enough for the iPhone to make it to the most intensive test in this comparison in Snapchat, where it's able to make it all the way through that test with 4% still left to go, meaning the iPhone 12 Pro Max becomes just the third phone that we've ever tested to make it to the app cycle test, where we're opening up the apps, closing them all, and then repeating that process until the phone dies, which for the iPhone 12 Pro Max takes 20 minutes for that to happen, bringing the iPhone's total time to an impressive 26 hours and 20 minutes compared to the Note's 24 hours and 55 minutes, making the iPhone 12 Pro Max the winner in this battery comparison and placing it third overall in our battery test rankings. Anyways, that is it for me in this video. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the very next episode.